Hey, I'm John. Welcome to Mr. G's Workbench. Time for another build. This time we're going old school. We're going to do the Tamiya P-51B and 1/48 scale. This kit dates back to 1995 according to ScaleMates. So we're working with a 30-year-old kit as opposed to Eduard's recent release of the B model. I wanted to do this one first. I've got the Overlord box in the closet, and eventually I'm going to build one of those, but I really wanted to get a frame of reference. Let me do the Tamiya kit first, kind of a known quantity. So what I did is, the great thing about this kit is you can pick it up for, less than $25. It's readily available, and there's a shit ton of aftermarket for it. So what I did is I got the Tamiya kit, and the only things I got for it, I got the Quinta Studios cockpit details, so the instrument panel and seat belts, and I got the resin wheels from Eduard, and I also got the exhausts from Quick Boost. So that's it. So I spent a grand total beyond the kit. In aftermarket, it was like $6 for the wheels, $10 for the Quinta set, and another $6, I believe, for the exhaust. So I'm up around $21 in aftermarket. I believe I paid $20 for the kit. So I'm at $41, somewhat comparable to buying the Profit Pack. The difference being I don't like photo etch. I've become spoiled with 3D instrument panels, and if I can avoid photo etch, I try to. I don't even like to use photo etch details. I mean, honestly, like in Eduard kits, you typically don't need the photo etch in the cockpit and stuff. It's a waste. So we're going to see what we're going to do with this, and let me give you a quick sense of marking options. My first choice, I was trying to stay away from using the Tamiya decals. My first choice was I was going to use some of the decals from the Overlord boxing. I was going to use the ones for the RAF Mustang 3, which is PKG, is the identifying numbers on the side. It's a well-known RAF Mustang. I was going to do that. Then I realized I didn't have all the paints I needed for it to do the camouflage. So scratch that. I wanted something I could do now, not a month from now. So then I said, all right, maybe I'll just use the kit decals, and I'll do Bonnie B. That was one of the 3 marking options that Tamiya gives you. So I was kind of set on that. I was going to do that. Then I realized I saw a couple of really good pictures from, I believe it's called the American Air Force Museum in England. They had 2 really good pictures of Big Mac Jr., and I couldn't resist because I knew those markings were in the Overlord box. So I went with that. And I was like, okay, cool. You get to use the Malcolm hood and everything. So I went with that. As you'll see in the course of the build, we did do Big Mac Jr., but things changed. And the one thing I wasn't going to do was I didn't want to do the one that everybody does of Big Mac Jr. with the green painted over wings, where they painted over the invasion stripes, and the top is painted over green to cover the invasion stripes as well. I wanted to do it before the invasion stripes, which is what these 2 really good quality pictures showed. So I went with that. We'll get into the build. You'll see how things went. I think it's a good kit. If you don't want to deal with like a zillion parts, it's the way to go. We'll jump into it. Thanks for stopping by the way. If it's your first time here, welcome. If you're a return visitor, welcome back. Big thanks and shout out as always to my channel member family whose names are scrolling up the screen right now. Let's dive right in on the build. All right, let's jump into Tamiya's interior here. This is an exercise in simplicity. There's probably less than 10 parts total to get that cockpit done. You can see here I painted it. The cockpit is painted with Ammo by MiG, has a nice interior green. Then I added a couple of drops of gray to that green so I could dry brush the raised areas of the cockpit. Really bring that out prior to adding the Quinta Studio parts or even detail painting like the oxygen hose on the lower left there. You'll see later on how it looks finished off with a wash. Come back in and we're gonna just paint the details here. I know I'm using like a Tamiya khaki for that little pouch on the headrest. The fuel bladder is painted rubber black, and then I'm gonna use Vallejo's aluminum, and their gunmetal colors are terrific brushable metallic colors. I love using them for stuff like this. I was very happy with that. And I'm just going to go in and add in some of that scuffs on the floor of the cockpit. Same thing here. I'm going to go in with some of that aluminum and just scuff up that seat prior to adding in the seat belts from Quinta. Next up, we gave the interior a gloss coat so that we could go in with this Tamiya panel liner, bring out some of those raised details. There's the Quinta panels, by the way, and just going around all the components of the cockpit. You can come back in, you can clean up the excess either with a Q-tip or with a brush with some white spirits on it and neaten it up. And you can see here, the Quinta stuff is perfect for a project like this. A simple cockpit, and just go in, they're giving you all the detail. I'm kind of on the fence about these seat belts. The problem with Quinta seat belts is they're not very flexible. So for stuff like that where there's a mild curve, it works. But if you fold it over too much, they'll just kind of snap in half. So you got to be careful with them. Yeah, I don't want to jump up and down like a slobbering Tamiya fanboy, but this whole, the cockpit and putting the cockpit into the fuselage half and getting those two halves together was one of the easiest assembly sequences I've had building a model in recent memory. No issues with big gaps or anything, or the fuselage wouldn't come together. It snapped into place, no questions asked. I was very happy with this. And I'm no Quinta Studio salesman, but I mean, that is some really next level detail on that cockpit. Here what I'm going to be doing is, you can see that piece in between the two gear bays is kind of, it shouldn't be curved. And I'm going to have those two large gear doors closed as they are in the picture that I have. And to get them to get that centerpiece to even out, I had to insert a plastic shim underneath it. And it kind of helped too, because then I had something for that gear door to rest on. The rest of the wing assembly went painlessly easy. First round of paint is finished. So give you a quick rundown of what I did. The whole plane got primed in Mr. Servicer 1500 black. Then I went back, painted the black where the theater markings would be, and then taped them over. Gave everything another fine sand with a 3000 grit sanding sponge. Painted the plane overall, aka extreme metal aluminum. It's had overnight to dry. You can see here, I did the same thing here like I did on the plane. I'm having nothing but trouble with the gear doors. There were sink marks in them. Try to fill them in with CA sand, prime, paint, and then you could still see them. So I did it again, fill, sand, prime. Those are waiting for another coat of paint. I have to paint this panel here is dark aluminum. I got resin tires from Eduard. They're primed and painted Tamiya rubber black. They're gonna get weathered up. The hubcaps for the tires are primed. They're gonna get painted silver. The tail wheel is painted. We've got resin exhausts from Quick Boost, primed and painted with extreme metal. No, I'm lying. Primed and painted with aqueous burnt iron, and then I'll rust them up a little. I got teardrop tanks that I pilfered out of a Tamiya D boxing because I have pictures of Big Mac Jr. with olive drab tanks. Then we've got the props, the primed in black, sprayed the tips white in anticipation of spraying them yellow. I'm pretty optimistic about this, so let's move on. So now I'm going to be applying the mouth from the Eduard decals. Took a good bit of decal setting solution to get that mouth to sit properly. And then the national insignia, these were also Eduard decals that I bought one of those sets. It was like $5. And finally, Big Mac Jr. Funny story here. So I was sharing photos of my progress with my buddy Boyd, and he said, well, how on earth is that Malcolm hood going to slide open with that antenna post in the way? And I went back and I looked at reference pictures like this one and realized that at the time, prior to D-Day and Invasion Stripes, Big Mac Jr. did not have this. It had the regular standard B-type canopy, which would be that. So I popped off the Malcolm hood, which I didn't put like a ton of glue on it, so I was able to get it off. I just have to clean up this edge here, and then I'm going to do the open canopy, just like in the picture of Big Mac that I have. I've already masked and painted the components for the windscreen and the canopy. We're almost done because I painted the propeller and applied the decals. I just have to dull coat it, and then I'm going to chip up the nose just a little bit, and I still have to weather the gas tanks I'm using. I've already very happy with these. I've kind of put a light rust coat on the exhaust pipes. We're almost there. Alright, fuel tanks are painted olive drab with red caps, and now I'm using some Ammo by MiG. I believe that's their oil and grease. The speckling you see here under the wings, that kind of speckly finish, that's actually some dried mud paste that I sponged on just to give it a little bit of a dirty look. Looks a little better in person. You'll have to take my word for that one. chipping the leading edges of the props with some Vallejo aluminum. The gun barrels are painted with Vallejo's gunmetal. Exhaust by Quick Boost. Just got to make sure you sand the bases of them so that they sit properly, like flush in the fuselage. And then here I'm just applying that's a black oil wash. I just used some white spirits and some black oil paint. And of course, the best part of any build is when you finally get to scrape all that masking off the clear parts. See the fruits of your labor. Couldn't be happier at this point. So I'm very happy with this finish. I had to go back. I had some issues. It reminded me why I don't like doing natural metal finish. And I could have flung it at the wall a couple of times. But for the limited amount of parts and the limited amount of effort you have to put into it, you get a nice finish. So I'll put this down on the turntable. And let me turn the camera around so you can take a look at it, and we'll discuss it. Obviously, as you saw in the course of the video, I didn't use the Malcolm hood. I wound up using the regular canopy for the B model. That's because if you look back at those two great pictures I kept honking the horn about, I realized late in that it didn't have the Malcolm hood when it didn't have the invasion stripes. I was able to pop off the canopy and windscreen and use the standard ones, something I'm not accustomed to doing, and it was a good experience where I had to go back, put on a new canopy, put on a new windscreen, create new masks for them so I could paint them to match the already painted airplane, and I couldn't be more delighted with it. I had to go back and retouch the aluminum paint about 3 times. I had to do it a couple of times where I had irregular finishes in the paint. I was happy to not paint invasion stripes on this one. I'll certainly do it on the Eduard one when I get there. Again, very happy with this. The pilot figure came from a Tamiya P-51B kit I have. It came with this extra sprue with that standing pilot. So I'll take it. And it helped me to get like a little sense of that photograph where you can see the comparison. So that's going to do it for today. Let me know what you think of this. If you've built this kit as well, let me know how yours came out. Again, I can't recommend this kit enough. I don't consider myself a Tamiya fanboy. It's just the simplicity of the kit, the detail, the fit was really good, and it's a 30-year-old kit, and it stands up against any modern kit as far as I'm concerned. So again, thanks for stopping in, and take care, stay well. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.